Hello homeschool moms, and welcome back to another look in the book. Today's video is a highly requested one. I have had so many of you who have wanted to see inside BJU Press Heritage Studies 6, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at their textbook, which is paperback and in color. So I'll turn the camera around and give you a look inside of that. Also want to give you a look inside the activity manual that goes along with it. So let's turn the camera around and take a peek inside. Let's go ahead and start with the textbook, and then we'll jump into the activity manual last. Now, as I said, the textbook is paperback. It is in color, so you have a lot of beautiful, colorful pictures and maps and charts and things for your student to make it much more engaging for them. This curriculum does cover ancient times, so that is what they're going to be learning in Heritage Study 6. I want to open up to the table of contents here and give you point a couple things out to you. There are 15 chapters, and the first chapter and the 15th chapter are two that I really appreciate that they put in here. Chapter 1 is titled In the Beginning, and I'm going to give you a closer look at that and kind of share with you why I really appreciate that chapter being in here. And chapter 15 is called A Kingdom from Shore to Shore, and I'm really thrilled that they have this in here. I flipped through it and looked at it. We haven't gotten to that yet, but I looked at it and went, I love that this is in here, so I want to give you a closer look at that chapter as well. The other chapters just cover different areas that existed in ancient times. You have Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, ancient Israel, ancient India, ancient China, ancient Persia, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, the Byzantine Empire, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, Mesoamerica, ancient Africa, ancient Japan, and the Middle Ages in Europe. They also have this resource treasury as well. Two things I wanted to point out here is they do have a primary source document section, which I think is great as our children are reading through this textbook. If they make mention of some kind of document from that culture and that time period, then our students can go ahead and read that document for themselves, the full document there, or at least parts of the document. So they do have those primary source documents back there, and an atlas as well, which I think is really helpful when you're studying ancient times, and a lot of these areas might be unfamiliar to your students, so it's great to have an atlas in there as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at that chapter 1, In the Beginning. Like I said, I'm really glad that they put this in here because what they're doing is really giving our kids a really great start with a biblical foundation. They're saying, where does history come from? And they do have this in the Bible section here. They also talk about why should we study ancient history, which if you have children like mine, they want to know, hey mom, why on earth is this important? Why do I need to study it? So I love that they've included that for our students. They also have how do we study history, which I think is really helpful. And I love this chart diagram here that they have in here about how it's called producing a historical account. And so kind of how do we get and learn about ancient cultures? How do historians do that? And so I thought that was really helpful. But here's something that I really love over here. They start with creation. I mean, if we're going to talk about ancient cultures, let's start with the beginning of creation and the creation of the world and the creation of man. And I love that they include the fall as well as God's promise of redemption, just giving our kids right from the beginning a good foundation in their biblical worldview and the gospel. And so I love that. And then as you can see, the chapters from there on are just about different cultures. So chapter 2 is about Mesopotamia. Let's see if I can find another chapter here. I should have put little tabs in here to make it go a little bit faster for me, but maybe as I'm flipping through and trying to find the next chapter, you can see some of the pages. So here's Ancient Egypt, chapter 3. So they're just going to be learning about those different cultures. But what I did want to point out to you and show you is that chapter 15. So let's see if I can find that. There's chapter 12, so it must be a little bit farther back here. Okay, there's chapter 14, the Middle Ages in Europe. So 15 must be coming up here pretty quickly. But I really appreciate that BJU put this last chapter in here, A Kingdom from Shore to Shore, and I'm excited to wrap up our school year with this chapter with my 6th grader. So what is this? What is A Kingdom from Shore to Shore? Well, it starts off by reminding your children about what a biblical worldview is and why your worldview matters and how worldview makes a difference and how we interpret history. So I really love that. Goes back and reminds our kids about creation and the fall and redemption, kind of saying, hey, remember where we started? Let's review that. This is the most important thing, really, is the redemption of mankind. And then I love this. The last part is about the spread of Christ's kingdom, the spread of Christianity, and it just talks about how Christianity spread to different cultures. And so it talks about Egypt there, Mesopotamia and Persia. We've got Greece, Rome, and Europe, and it even has a little section on the Protestant Reformation and Martin Luther. Got India, Africa, Latin America, China, Japan, and then it ends with Christ's kingdom and you. And then as you can see here, here's the resource treasury, all those extra things they have in the back of the book. And here are all the primary resources that are included in the back here that your student can go ahead and read for themselves. So I am just absolutely thrilled, just really, really pleased with the way that Heritage Studies 6 is put together. And so let's go ahead now and take a look at the activity manual. Now, the activity manual we've already used. They are pages that you would actually rip out, and then they're 3-hole punch so they can put them in a binder. I'm just going to flip through real quickly. Actually, let's go ahead. I think they have a table of contents. Yes, they do. So here you can see that the chapters are the same as what we saw in the textbook. We have in the beginning is chapter 1 all the way through chapter 15, which is A Kingdom from Shore to Shore. They also have an essay writing steps and vocabulary section and a history timeline, which I love because sometimes history can get confusing. So I love that they have a timeline included in there. But they just have, these are just kind of work text pages that go along with the textbook. So I'm just going to flip through here so that you can kind of get an idea of what is in the work text and what your student would be doing if you choose to use this curriculum. They've got study guides in there. So different activities, sometimes there's multiple choice, just kind of some fun things. I appreciate that it's in color, just like the textbook, brings a lot more interest to the, to history for our students when they're having to do assignments. And then as you can see in the back, they do have this really great timeline here to just help our students get, make a little bit more sense of what they're learning and where everything falls in time. So that is a look inside Heritage Studies 6 from BJU Press, their textbook and their activity manual. If you have used this curriculum at all, I would love for you to leave comments down below and let us know what you thought, pros, cons. So far we are loving it, and I've had a lot of requests to give you a peek inside, so I hope this was helpful for you if you're thinking about using this curriculum.